It's your boy, Johnny Blaze, from the book of Revelations. Back once again to enlighten you. Tonight we're going to talk about who is God, or who is the creator. God is a dog. But for you to understand, since it's so commonplace to talk about God, we're going to talk about, is it a man or a woman? All three major religions say he's a man. It's the Father. But it's bullshit. The creator's a woman. It wasn't Adam and Eve. It was Eve. And then Adam. It was the woman. All people, every creature on earth comes from the womb. Comes from the vagina. We're developed in our mother's womb. But people still believe that we come from man first. That God created Adam and made woman out of a rib. I'm here to prove it wrong. So instead of me giving you my opinion, we're going to see what the scriptures have to say. So let us begin. Johnny Blaze, Revelations, Lucifer, to enlighten you. Sunni Lobo. So who better to start with than Jesus? Jesus was the Son of God, right? And this here is the Last Supper they had right here. This is 12 disciples. This is last dinner. This is Boo Boo right here. It's believed to be Mary Magdalene. Very famous picture here. I think Da Vinci painted it. And there was the Eucharist. It's also called the Holy Communion or the Lord's Supper, among other names. It's a Christian rite that is considered a sacrament in most churches and as an ordinance in others. Reformed Christians believe in a real spiritual presence of Christ in the Eucharist. These motherfuckers believe that he's amongst them when they perform the ceremony. And what is it? It's a Holy Communion of the Lord's Supper. It's a remembrance. Jesus commanded his followers to do this in memory of me, while referring to his body. They said to eat bread, and a cup of wine is the covenant of his blood. So Jesus says that he is bread, and wine is his blood, and he wants you to eat that in his memory. So it sounds like cannibalism to me. So we're trying to find out who is God, who's the Son of God, who's the creator. And Jesus says that he wants you to eat bread as memory for his body. You dig? Do this, Christians remember both Christ's sacrifice of himself on the cross and his commission of the apostles at the Last Supper. There's two things there. See, Christians are confused. They don't know what they want. Let's go. So the Eucharist is eating the bread for his body and the wine for his blood. Let's break down the word. Eucharist. This is euchre. The root word euchre. It's a card game. And there's 3 of the 5 players to be tricked in order to win. It's a game of tricking. Down here it says you have to prevent other players from performing tricks on you. You must deceive and outwit or cheat someone. The merchant can be euchred out of his craft and by hard bargaining, selling you wolf tickets, lying to you. And that's what the church is doing with the Eucharist, telling you that there's a Messiah that died for your sins and he rose, and that he saved you and all your sins. And where the fuck is he? Why is the world so bad? And why did he leave once he rose? He went through all the bullshit and then he left? Because it's all a lie. They're talking about is the bread. He said his body was the bread, and they eat the bread in remembrance of him. So what is the bread? The bread is the yeast, and the yeast rises into bread. That's why Jesus rose from the dead, because he's the bread. He rose from yeast. He came from yeast, just like the sun comes and rises from the east. You dig? It's all metaphors, you dumb fucks. The yeast rises into bread. and the sun rises from the east into heaven, just like Jesus rose from the dead and descended into heaven with his Father. And the sun rises from the east unto the heavens. It's all metaphors. Jesus is the sun and Jesus is bread. It's not a man. So what is heaven? Jesus died and rose to heaven. The sun rises from the east up to the heavens. It's a place regarded as various religions, as the abode of God or the gods and angels and of good. For people who do good, of course, you go to hell when you die, they tell you. It's a paradise, a nirvana. It's a heavenly kingdom, city of God, a celestial city. It's heaven. It's Zion. So they're talking about heaven. Let's go back to heaven real quick. If you look at the breakdown of it, you got heaven, it's Heaven, E-V-E-N, or would it be oven? So let's get to that. We're talking about who's God. Is he a man or a woman? The English idiom for bun in the oven refers to pregnancy. It likes the mother's womb to an oven and the baby to a bun that is baking. So a pregnant woman would say she has a bun in the oven. That is heaven. It's a haven. It's a safe place. That's what heaven is. It's a haven. It's a safe place for the baby to develop. It's got all it needs. It's got the right temperature. It's got the food, the blood supply. It's got its mother's care and nourishment and her mercy. And Jesus said to them, very truly, I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. And they said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of the life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. John 6:32. He says it. Bread came down from heaven. Did bread really come down from heaven? Or did bread come out of the oven? What is an oven? It's an enclosed compartment. We know what that is. It's where you cook in the kitchen. It's a range. A furnace. Furnace. You know, remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, threw the motherfuckers into the oven. He said, if you have a God, have him save you now. And then he looked into that oven, that furnace. They saw 3 people, and then all of a sudden he said 4. Who's the 4th person? And the king saw 4 men walking in the flames. The 4th, he said, was like a son of God. So there you have it. Jesus was in there, and nobody burned because they believed in God. They were faithful. And there you go. Jesus appears in the oven again because he's the bread. He's the bread of life. And there's the oven. There's the oven. There's heaven. He's the bread of life. There's Jesus' tomb. Anywhere you look, where Jesus' tomb was this big circle rock and a square entrance to a cave, to a haven, heaven, an oven, a square. This is what they're talking about. My boy out there asked me a question. Be sweet. Shout out to my man. You want to know what it was to be off the square or on the square? Here we go, is the square. Freemasonry, Jesus was in the square. We're going to circle with a square. This is the squared circle. They're trying to square you and dumb you down, put you in a corner and box you in. The blaze is here to free you. This is what they're talking about. Jesus' tomb was an oven. The tomb is the womb, the bun in the oven. The Creator is a woman. The Virgin Mary, the Immaculate Conception came by nature. She was the Creator. She's God. The virgin birth. And that's when man came from her. Let us go. And when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene And Mary, the mother of James, that was Jesus' mother, because James is his brother, right? So two Marys showed up. They brought spices. Why are they bringing spices to the grave? Because he's bread. They want to spice him up, spice up the bread, that they might come and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, what's that? Monday. I'll celebrate this. He rose and came back on a Sunday. Easter. You're killing me. I'm trying to tell you what Easter and what all these holidays mean. It's subliminal. It's not what you think. They came to the tomb to see if the sun was risen. Early in the morning, the sun rises, right? So the sun was already risen. But they come to see if their son had risen. Mary, and they were saying among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the tomb? And looking up, they see that the stone is already rolled back, for it was exceedingly great. And entering unto the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, arrayed in a white robe, and they were amazed. And he saith unto them, be not amazed. You seek Jesus, the Nazarene, the Nazi Aryan, who hath been crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold the place where they were. So Mary, why you bugging, came to check on him. They brought spices. They was going to bake that bread. They were going to make it flavorful. Because Mary Magdalene is the mother of God. That was Jesus' boo-boo. And Mary, the mother of James and Jesus, they say. That's the midwife. That's why only those two come down. You should ask yourself, if Jesus performed all these miracles, rose people from the dead, healed the sick, healed the blind, and all these people saw that, don't you think there would have been multitudes waiting for this nigga to raise from the dead? Shit, if he could turn water to wine, then I want to see this nigga come up out of the grave. He said he was. Nobody was there. Nobody saw this happen. Just two crazy bitches. A whore and his mother. Come on, Mary Magdalene. It's because she was pregnant. She had the bun in the oven. And Mary, the other Mary, she was the midwife. There you have it. This was the grave. They come down there and it was already rolled back. Why is this rolled back? And the grave is open. The door to the oven was open. Why did they roll it back? Because it was rolls. We're talking about bread, right? Jesus is the bread. What did it say here? That they roll back the stone. R-O-L-L. That's a roll. And they plan to roll a deceit on you. Talking about bread. And they roll back the stone. The bread roll. They roll back the bread roll, stone. Nordic Stone Age nut and seed bread. Stone means bread. They roll back the stone. Making stone bread. Jesus is the bread of life. Jesus said this, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger. And whoever believes in me will live forever, never be thirsty. I'll feed you and give you some thirst. Quench it. I'll give you wine. Alcohol. The bread and wine, the title Bread of Life. It's given to Jesus. It's based on a biblical passage, which is set in the Gospel of John, your boy. Shortly after defeating the multitude episode in which Jesus feeds a crowd of 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. That's Isis right there. It's Pisces, the fish. 5,000 people he fed with 5 loaves of bread. He's the bread of life. He said it to you very, very truly. I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you bread from heaven. Bread from the oven. Bread from the oven. Here goes your bread right there, that gold plate. Where you put your bread on when you eat. You put it on the plate. There's the passing plate. There you go. Pay your tithes. It's the offering plate. Let's eat. Put that bread on there. In God we trust. The Almighty Dala is Almighty Allah, God. There you have it. There's the plate. Let's eat. Give me that bread. So who is Easter? What is Easter? Did Jesus die and raise from the dead? Is God a man? Or is Easter a woman? Ishtar. It's the queen of heaven. It's the queen of the oven. She's the one that had the bun in the oven. It's Ishtar, Venus, Hathor. Because in springtime, that's the fertile time. That's when everything comes to life. That's the new year. That's the beginning. Had nothing to do with Jesus rising from the dead. It's false. They stole it. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. The book of Genesis, the genes of Isis. It's the gene, the gen. It's the woman, Jeannie, Jenny. It's the moon. It's the womb, the tomb. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. God said, let there be light. Darkness. Out of darkness comes light. It's the moon. It's Easter. It's the moon. And it signals the vernal equinox, which is tonight, which is right now. Today's the first day of spring. And when the sun lines up, in the northern hemisphere, the vernal equinox and fall, be March in the southern hemisphere, and the northern hemisphere. Right now, it's spring, March 20th. So let's find out what the vernal equinox is. Assuming spring showers stay at bay tonight, sky watchers in the northern hemisphere will go to see a cosmic triple play tonight on March 20th, as the super worm moon lights up the vernal equinox. There you have it. Super moon lights up. Super moon lights up. Doesn't say nothing about the sun lighting up, because the moon was here before the sun. The moon lights the sun. The sun came from the moon, the tomb, the womb. It lights up. Super worm moon lights up. Doesn't say that the sun gave any light, that the sun gave the moon to light up. So let's go. We're talking about this vernal equinox. Because the moon's orbit is egg-shaped. Come again, MC Ren. Because the moon's orbit is egg-shaped, there are times when it is at the astronomers call perigee, which would be pedigree. So all the perigee is the pedigree. It's all your genetics. It's what you're made up of. It's what the moon is. We come from the moon. You dig? It has an egg orbit. Everything is feminine. It's the woman. Everywhere in nature is woman. So tonight we're looking out for that equinox, the super moon, the lunar disk. So the equinox, where do they get that word from? They don't just come out top of their head with it. We don't figure out we're talking about the woman. So who is she? It's the equine, equinox. Talking about the horse, relating to or affecting horses or other members of the horse family. So the equinox, we're talking about the equine. It's the horse. What time of the year do horses usually foal? Under normal circumstances, mares tend to give birth to fowls in the spring and summer, but mainly in the spring, early April, on up through summer, but mostly in the spring when everything is good and plenty. There you have it. There's your horse, right? And that's where you get the April Fool's Day. So we're talking about the horse. It was April. It's fowls. It's the horse. The April Fool's Day. They fooled you. Is really April Fowl. We're talking about the horse. Why are we talking about the horse? We're talking about the constellation. We're talking about Pegasus. What is Pegasus? Zeus, Pegasus, Jesus, Jesus. There you have it. This is the constellation Pegasus. Here's your square. This is what it means to be on the square. This is the horse. The square, the oven, is the horse. One of the unmistakable landmarks of the autumn sky is the great square of Pegasus. People confuse it with the Big Dipper, but it's not. It's also related to Zeus and lightning. Pegasus. I'm talking about lightning, thunder and lightning. We're talking about the Oval Office and the moon, right? And the square, here you have it. It's all mockery. You got the square, the Oval Office right here. You got the square desk. It's the great square. You got the great seal. You got these chairs, 2 chairs squared is a square. 2 is squared. 2 chairs squared. 3 chairs actually. Got the president's chair. They're showing a square. All your windows are squares. They're trying to tell you subliminally about the woman, the horse. She's the horsepower, the E gene, the engine. Engines measure their power through horsepower. She's the E gene, Genesis, Isis. There's the rose garden, the library. More reference to women and gardens. Women are gardeners. Everything is feminine in the garden. The vagina is called a garden. And you got some chairs again. If you look at the chair beneath the desk here, you got the skull and bones, you got the cross. Skull and bones cross. You got a square chair, square desk, square windows, everything's square. Look over here. You got the globe Earth. Very interesting, so let's peep it out. Why they got that in there and it's enclosed. It's like Saturn's rings, because Earth is in a closed dome, flat Earth. Everything's a lie. You see that square right there? They're trying to square you. They got it enclosed because we're in an enclosed dome. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let there be for signs and for the seasons. All you gotta do is look up at the stars and the sun and the moon. You can know what time of day it is, what time of month it is, what time of year it is. You're in the firmament. That's why they had just you're enclosed subliminally. And that's Saturn. Why do they call it Saturn? We'll get to that. What's a firmament? Well, when you ferment, that's to change chemically through an action of living substances, bacteria and shit. Yeast. Yeast is bread. It's the beast, the yeast. Bacteria. We're in a firmament, fermenting. In the womb is where we ferment. It's all about the womb. This is the egg. This is the golden egg. And this is what our cosmology is, that we're inside a dome. The womb is a dome. The womb is a dome. This is where we live inside, fermenting from cells on up through the physical body that we are today as babies. And then we grow after that. It's the womb. That's the belly, the egg. It's the golden egg. If you see here, these craters, that looks like the belly button. Told you right there, that's the belly button. And these are the stretch marks on a woman's pregnant body, on her belly. But she's in full bloom. The full moon, full bloom. There you have it. That's what they're hiding from you when we were talking about Easter. Let's talk about Thanksgiving. Let's go back to that woman. It's that turkey. The turkey, that big belly. And when she's ready to pop, boom, the belly button comes out. That's why they made those subliminal messages. So that, you know, she's ready. It's the harvest. She's ready to give birth. Let's harvest the fruit. That's why they have you eating a turkey, because you're a turkey, a jive turkey. Jive turkey. They're playing you for fools and fowls. It looks like a pregnant breast. That's why they have breasts. Everybody wants the breast. They like the breast. So what was Thanksgiving? Just like Christmas and the New Year, Thanksgiving is a part of the broader fall. It was celebrated by pilgrims. There you go with the square, the black box. There you go to square, the Kaaba. And that's the pilgrimage that they're talking about. That's the real pilgrimage they do over in Mecca. It's the cornerstone, is a sacred stone called the black stone. The black pea stones. It's a mistake that people think that this is the vagina or the yoni. It is not. That is the egg. This is the egg in the belly button. It's the tree of life that connects the baby to the woman. That's how you eat. And you're on her wall. The placenta. There you go. Very sacred in Islam. And the connection of life from the womb to the baby is the umbilical cord. In Christianity, the umbilical cord is the biblical card. They're pulling some bullshit on you. Euchre. They're playing euchre. With the Eucharist. All you gotta do is add a B in there and you got umbilical from bilical. One letter. That's what they meant. These are the phases of the moon. Which are the phases of the moon. The trimester. 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9. The woman. Pregnant woman with the womb. From the womb to the tomb. And that's what the grave was symbolizing with Jesus. He's coming from the womb and transforming into God. He's born again. He's birthed from the womb. He's the bread of life. The Son. The pregnant woman. The Holy Trinity is the Holy Trimester. 3, 6, 9. They said that Jesus shed his blood. It's bullshit. Said he was the son that came out of the oven. Symbolism, he was the BUN, not the sun. He was the BUN, not the sun. The women shed their bloods every month with the moon. The women are the moon. They shed their blood. Jesus didn't shed no motherfucking blood. The Gospel of Mark, like we said, Mary Magdalene, they brought spices. Who was Mary? Mary was the whore. Remember? Mary was the whore. Mary Magdalene was Jesus' boo-boo. She was the whore that got around. Mary was the whore that got around. We live in a cosmology. The enclosed dome is a merry-go-round. Mary was a horse that got around. These are horses that go around. Merry-go-round. The horses merry-go-round. Mary Mag was a whore that got around. Prostitute. Saturn, the rings, goes in circles. Why is it Saturn? Because we're enclosed in a dome. And Saturn is the return. The sun makes its yearly circle around the earth as the moon and the stars do. It's a Roturn. They call it Saturn. We're on a time clock. The stars rotate around us. The sun and moon rotate around the earth. The earth is still. And here is the Most High. That is Polaris. The Most High stays at 1 degree. Never moves from the spot. And all the other stars rotate around it. Saturn's rings. It's the Lord of the Rings. Right here, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. The Big Dipper. In the summer, spring, winter, and fall. It spins. That's how you tell time. Time exists. Don't believe them when they say time don't exist. You gotta wait 9 months to be birthed, right? That's motherfucking time. These are the seasons, and this is a wheel that spins. There's a time-lapse photo right here of the stars that go around. It's a spiral effect. There's Polaris, never moves. We're enclosed in a dome that circle around us. That's how you navigate the Maritimes, the waters. Mary. Everything is Mary. There's your black stone, the Kaaba. And they circle around it. In Islam, the Muslims circle around it. Just like the stars circle around the square here. And the earth, they circle in that. The Lord of the Rings, look at the tree. The sun goes in circles. The Lord of the Rings, the sun is Saturn. It's Ra, it's the sun. Sun is Ra, Raturn. It's a Raturn. Goes away at night and returns in the morning. Said Jesus will come back again. Saturn is a Raturn. It turns. It's a churning. I told you we're fermenting. It's like time. How do you think time goes in a circle? It's pi. Pi. It's the minute hand. The big hand, little hand. Little hand is the Little Dipper, and this is the Big Dipper. It's all about time. We're spiraling in time. In a circle. We're trying to square that circle with the oven, with the trimester. Is the time master. Told you we're living in a time clock. It goes around in circles. It's a code, it's a lock. And it'll open up when everything lines up. Trimester is the time master. That's the woman. She's the one that gives birth. We all come out of a pussy. Show me one person, show me one creature that come out of no fucking woman. She's the time master. Without a woman, time will cease to exist. She's the creator. The creator is the crater. She birthed you. And the moon is full of craters. There you have it. The moon is the womb, full of craters. And in the beginning, she birthed the sun. There you have it. It's a volcano on the moon. There are craters. Right there, that's how the sun came about. She birthed it out of her craters. She's the creator. There you have it, the volcano. Remember, we're in Saturn. We are in an urn. We rotate in a circle, but the closed dome Earth is also an urn. And it forms ashes from the volcano. It's fermenting in there. And the ash cloud. It's composite, which is compost, which is fertilizer. If you go around any volcano, the most fertile soil is right around it. It's the ash. From ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The volcano. We're talking about Easter eggs. You gotta have an egg in Easter. They told you subliminally what Easter was. Y'all think it's Jesus, right? They're talking about the egg. Talking about the woman, the horse. She's the horsepower, the engine, the E-gene. She's the moon. And the moon is an egg. Y'all don't know that. This is the phases of the moon. The moon is made of albumin. Albumin is in protein in eggs. It's the egg white. Which I don't know. You see that? This is the new moon. It's black ice. The moon is made of ice with albumin in it. We have albumin in our blood plasma. It's a light chain. When you see the moon light up like that, slowly from the darkness, the different phases, that's the albumin. That's the albumin. It's asphalt. Black top on your streets. That's what that is. It's black ice. The albumin is also in asphalt. It's an ingredient. And when you crack an egg and put it in your pan, it's clear. You get the yolk, which is yellow, and everything else is clear, the egg white, right? And then when it heats up in the pan, what's it do? It starts to turn white. Ah, yeah. There's the full moon. It's ready. That's because the moon is heating up. The moon is, it'll burn you, but it's a cold burn. It'll freeze burn. So that is heat, but it is cold. You could, anybody knows, if you take the sun, and when it's hot outside, you go in the shade, it's cooler. You do that with the moon. You go into the shade part of a moonlight, it'll be warmer. That's because the light that it's emitting is cold. It's ice. It's heating up, but it's ice. It's fire and ice. It's albumin. It's the egg white. So you have the egg white right here, and what's in the middle? Sunny side up. It's nature. You don't pay attention to nature. You listen to what the preachers say because your brain's on drugs. You're fried. Dumb motherfuckers believe the preacher. You believe the TV. They go into Mars. They go into the moon. Bullshit. Bullshit. They lie about everything. There you have it as your tomb. From the womb to the tomb. Here's the womb and the tomb combined. There's your bread roll. It's the stone. And they put his body in there and he was covered in white linen. That's what they do to the mummies, right? So what's that all about? What's this all about? I told you God is a woman. And the Bible and all the other religions say that he's a man. It's a patriarch society. But behind your back, what you don't know is they know that God is a woman. The Creator is a woman. And Satan, as you said, wants to be like a woman. He wants to be like God. He wants to exalt himself like the Most High. Polaris. So in order to be like God, you have to transform. And God is a woman, right? And that's what they're trying to do. That's why it's called a mummy. They want to be a mommy. And they wrap themselves up into a cocoon. They want to transform. That's what the whole movie Silence of the Lambs was about. Buffalo Bill. He had the moths in his crib. He wanted to transform, transgender. The tranny is tyranny. They're the tyrants. The deceivers. There's your pupil on the chrysalis. Christ changed. That was the whole point of the tomb. He went in there to change and transform into his new body and descended into heaven. What's this happen? This is the stages between the larva and adult. When they say they're shedding, just like a volcano sheds with lava. There's your larva. It's the beginning stages of life. There's larva. There's lava. It came from the crater. That's how they transform. This is the chrysalis. This is the Christ. The caterpillar changes into it. All by nature. Embedded in it. A code. Doesn't have to be taught. But you're so dumbed down. We have to be taught how to survive, how to heat ourselves, how to do this. Because we're disconnected from the grid. We're off the square. The square is the grid. It's all about transgender and transforming. They want to be like the monarch butterfly. Monarchy, royalty. So these deceivers, the tyrants, the trannies, the she-males, they have moon bumps. There's chicks with dicks that look like women, fine women, some of them. They play roles of these superstars like they're pregnant. Beyonce did it. That's a man. She had a moon bump. It's fake. Why do they call it a moon bump? Because it's the moon. It's the beginning, Genesis. And the earth was without form. It was dark. Let's go back. So let there be light. And roll back that darkness, and there was light. The sun. There you have it. There's the sun who died on the cross. And that square tomb, that oven there is the ox. The stone in the tomb is the ox, the OX. Who's that? The ox. Comes from oxen. If you take that oxen, you have a V. Upside down and inverted like that. It's the oven, the oven. It's the omen. The oxen is the oven. It's the black ox, Obama, number 5. Remember the 5 loaves of bread for the 5,000 people? He's the 5%er. The half-breed. The black ox, the black socks. Remember when he was at the Duke game and homeboy blew his knee out, he said? His shoe blew out. He said he sprained his knee. He grabbed his hamstring to signify that it was the puppet master pulling the strings. He blew his shoe because the ruler was there. He was shoeless. Shoeless Joe. Shoeless Joe Jackson, the black ox, the black socks. Ox, who said, go back so you see. Bull. Castrated bull. God is omnipotent, but he is impotent. The impotent is Imhotep. Imhotep. The Egyptian Grand Master of Science and Medicine. Who else could transform and do all these surgeries and hormone replacement therapy other than a Grand Master of Medicine? Imhotep, who is impotent, cannot produce, been castrated. That brings us to Dub, King Dub of Scotland, who's also known as Dub Mac. Mail column. That's where you get your mail from, your email. Duff Malcolm Max, known as the Niger the Black from Alba. Yeah, he's the Indolf. The Indolf. The Indolf family. This comes from the house of Alpen, which is the Swiss, the Alps, the Alpine. The nigga that runs the world is black. Albino black, which is blanc. It's blanco. You think it's blanc. It's black. It's blanc. Blanco is white. Albino. There's no melanin. He's been stripped of it. Dub means black. Dublin and Ireland is black. And Rosen. It's the black rose. The rose is risen. That's Jesus. The rose cross. Let's go back here and we say it's the black. It's the whiskey. Whiskey is the Swiss key. It's the moon, the black moon. Out of Dufftown. There you have it. Macduff. It's the Indolf. The Indolf. That means black. He's the Imdolf. It's the dolphin. Black rose. So who's the Dolph? He's the Indolf. He's the Dolph. That's Obama. Obama is the Aryan. He's the SS. He's the son of Sam. He's Hiram Abiff, the Mason. 33-degree master Mason. That's Christ, died at 33. If you look at this building here, it's the squares, but it has a symbolism. This is the doorway. It's the entrance. That right there would be the, not the cornerstone, another name for it. It's the oven. If he's Dub, Mac, and the Indolf. We know that Dolph, Adolf Hitler, was responsible for the Holocaust, Nazi camps. There's the oven, the gas chambers. This is your oven. Christians are the bread. This is what they were talking about. The Jews would be the Christians. The ewes, the sheep. The sheep. Those are those that will be put into the ovens to bake the bread of Jesus. You have it. There's your square Freemasonry right here. It's all Freemasonic with the bricks. Square brick. You get your oven. You're going to bake your bread. You are the bread of life. The Apostle Paul said, the cup of blessing which we bless, it is not a participation in the blood of Christ. The bread which we break, it is not a participation in the body of Christ. Because there is one bread. We who are many are one body, for we all partake of the one bread. All Christians are one. That's who's going to the chamber. The Holocaust is the Holocaust. The SS, the Swiss. ISIS. When they talk about ISIS, that's what they're talking about. The Swiss, the SS, Secret Service, Secret Police. ISIS. And ice, how does lightning form? It's talking about lightning. Lightning forms with ice particles. You did not know that. I bet you didn't. When ice and the clouds start rambling around together real fast and smashing into each other, they spark, become electric. It's the ice. It's ISIS. It's the moon. In the beginning was the moon. Ice. Earth's core is not molten lava. It's ice. It's cold down there. The lava's on the surface. We come from ice. And when the ice in the beginning was rambling against each other, it took vibrations and the pressure. Boom, the Big Bang. It's the lightning. Pow. That's the Big Bang. And there was light. That's the ice. Light is ice. You can make fire from ice, but you cannot make ice from fire. It's electric. What causes lightning? The electric current within the thundercloud way up in the sky. Many bits of ice, frozen raindrops bump into each other as they move around in the air, causing collisions that create an electric charge. Let there be light. It's the tree of life. This is the spark, the Ark of the Covenant. This is the Allspark they was talking about in Transformers. This is L electricity. This is the tree of life. The vine. The name Barack Obama. He said he's the ox. Barack means lightning. It also means BRQ is the abbreviation. In Freemasonry, R's are B's and B's are R's. Like RBs. So this is barbecue, BBQ. You can be lighting them motherfuckers up. He's a military commander in the book of Judges. Barack means lightning. You're going to be frying and barbecuing motherfuckers up. He's the god of earthquakes and storms, the horses. And it's Poseidon. He's the beast of the sea. Poseidon means poisoned waters. His abode is the sea. He uses a trident and fish and dolphin and horse and a bull as his symbol. There you have it. It's Poseidon. It's the horse. It's the Marines, the dragons. Mary Magdalene, the Marines, the Iron Horse Marines. They're the ones with the trident. Marines. Mary was a whore. The Marines were the horsemen. The horse symbolizes war. Is your trident. And God is the destroyer. There's your Navy. Navy destroyer. Barack Obama. Lightning. He's the dancing symbol. He's the smoking symbol. He's the Ankh. He's the goat. He's the Navy. There's the smoking gun. God is a woman. You've been squared. And the Holocaust is coming. The Adolf. The Indolf. Barack Obama. Be putting your asses in ovens to bake your bread. Because the worship is who you worship. You worship God. God is the destroyer. The beginning and the end. He creates and he destroys. He is a warship. The sea bees, they build and destroy. The beasts of the sea, Satan and Jesus are the same thing. God is the devil and the devil is God. The creator is the woman. And they want to be like the woman and want to transform unto her through metamorphosis, like the moon changes faces and phases. So remember, happy spring to you motherfuckers. And April Fool's Day is not April Fool's Day. Don't be a fool. Don't play foul. When you hoop and get fouled. In baseball, catch that foul ball. It's all about Pegasus the horse. This is your boy, Johnny Blaze, from the book of Revelations. Sonny Lobo. You dig?